morning. It is Friday, May 24th, 2024, and this is Option Pit Live. I am Mark Sebastian, your only option, and I'm joined by one Queen of the Candles, Leisha J. Leslie. Good morning. Happy Friday.
Good morning, TGIF. And a long weekend. Yay.
It is a long weekend. Markets are closed on Monday. So markets don't reopen until Tuesday in observance of Memorial Day. Thank you to all of our soldiers that protect our country, and thank you to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. We obviously appreciate it more than this can simply show just saying that. But let's dig into the show. Today we're going to talk about the economic data that just hit. We're going to look at some charts with Alicia, talk about whether Nvidia is a vampire, talk a little bit about some crypto, look at a few other earnings from the week. We'll break down our stock of the week. Alicia and I will go through a couple of trade ideas we like. Of course, if we're lucky, we'll jump on the bus with room for everybody, Andrew's trading vehicle, and we will then give you our outlook for the rest of the day. So let's start. Durable goods orders just hit better than expected. So durable goods came in at 0.7% growth. The expectation was negative, and ex transpose, we were expecting a 0.1% increase. Came in at 0.4. Cap good orders, ex air, so capex up 0.3. So the let's see, core durable goods, 0.4 versus 0.2. So all in all, probably positive. Markets kind of like the number, and we got a little bit of a rally off of that. That is. So there you have it. Right now, futures are up about 16 points, and in the S&P, but that's coming off a really ugly day yesterday. On Thursday, we opened up and markets looked like they were primed to boom higher. Right? It just smelled of, look at Nvidia earnings. They blew the doors off.
Right.
What happened? Nvidia rallied while the rest of the market tanked. It was almost like Nvidia sucked the life out of the market. Alicia, what did you see in the indexes, and what were your thoughts on yesterday's price action?
It sure seemed that way. I honestly looking at my watch list, everything was red except Nvidia and the SMH.
Yeah,
it was pretty amazing, actually. Yeah. I do have some key levels here I need to show you. Now, remember, when a stock zooms through the support resistance level, a lot of times it comes back and kisses it, and that's your opportunity. And we're seeing that in ES right now. Watch 5305 on the ES, and if it doesn't hold, if it can't zoom back through there and trade above there, we could be in for a little sell-off down to 5200. Maybe not today, but there's some support 5268. But yeah, watch that. A lot of times, almost every time, it will come back, kiss that, and that's your opportunity to go short. But I have conflicting support here on SPX. Yesterday's low, close right at the support. So we have, right around 5261 is support on SPX. Same with the Qs. So we have a little bit of conflict here. If we start trading below those lows and can't break over that 5305 on the ES, here's the Qs 452 half, then we're definitely going to sell off.
All right.
And real quick, bonds.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about bonds, because that's really, I think, the underlying root of what we're looking at. If you looked at the rally that we've had in May, guess what? Bonds rallied, and that allowed the market to get a little bit of a relief. Now that bonds are starting to soften up, you're noticing that the market is softening up as well.
Right.
Bonds really do control the world. What are you seeing in the 10-year here?
The 10 years looking lower. It had busted out above this downtrend line that goes back here, February 5th, and kind of had a little bull trap there. Everyone thought we were going to rally, and then it failed. It failed, and now we're trading back below. Just this morning, we're trading back below that downtrend line. So we could wallow around there, but yeah, not looking so bullish on the bonds. TLT, we have a nice little rally, kind of a this could be flagging here. This could be flagging, but yesterday's candle not so actually bearish engulfing, also below trading and closing below that downtrend trend line, and could be bearish there. We also wanted to look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Good news for Ethereum.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this a little more in a bit, but yeah, I want to look at some of these cryptos, and I want to circle back on Ethereum in a couple of minutes, but I do want to look at Bitcoin here.
Sure. Nice rally. It's given it back, but it is very close to some support here. Right just below 66,000. 65,929. I have support in Bitcoin today.
All right.
Hard to say, but that support could hold. You know, it's funny. Back, I don't remember if it was a year ago, year and a half ago. Remember, I would say Bitcoin was leading the market. Remember, I used to say that you thought I was crazy, and then it kind of didn't feel like it as much. I feel like it's starting to, be a little bit of an indicator. Maybe not leading it, but being a little bit of an indicator.
G-Man is asking you to look at a chart of tips. Yeah, love G-Man. The tips TPF, which are based on the Treasury tips futures. So it's basically the 10-year with inflation. And boy, it did have an ugly day yesterday.
Yeah. Hard to say. Looks like some consolidation there. Let's see.
Can she pitchfork it?
Yeah, we're trading below there. Yeah, looks like consolidation around that median line. Yesterday was bearish. You do have a little bit of an uptrending there. If we trade below today or yesterday's low, I'd look for lower lows.
Interesting trading action. Yeah. Any other major charts that you're keeping your eye on, or should we have Andrew on and jump into this talking about some headlines?
Let's look at gold real fast. You asked me
idea.
it wasn't easy to come up with a stock. I like this, looking at this last night. I think gold, here's the same idea. Beautiful rally, right? Median line held as support here. Your old support is now new resistance here. Couldn't close above it. Now, yesterday we traded and closed below. Remember, the close is always more important than the intraday. Close below that support, and now we're kissing it again. I'm thinking GLD down to 212. It's about 215 right now. I think it'll take a little leg lower.
Yeah, it got a little overbought there.
Got a nice little double top. Yeah, I'm thinking 212 on GLD.
And then we'll make some decisions there. Yeah. Oh, I had one I wanted to look at, and now I can't remember all of a sudden. All right. Well, let's it'll come to me. But let's have Andrew join us, because I want to get into the elephant in the room, or maybe it's the vampire in the room,
Yeah.
Nvidia, because as I said at the top of the show, Nvidia absolutely blew the doors off for earnings. The at one point was up over 11%. I think that at the highs, it got up to almost $1,100 a share. It is just going up and up and up. That gap was massive. Where do you see it moving off of that gap, Alicia?
Well, look how nicely it opened right at the
Extended
support
channel.
resistance level of my
Yeah.
parallel channel. This is a parallel channel to the pitchfork. It's amazing. It landed right there, right? Rallied,
Mhm.
and then couldn't quite hold the big rally. But if it stays around here, a lot of times when you get a breakaway gap, this is called a breakaway gap, you need more evidence. You need the price to reveal itself. You want it to stay in that level for at least 2-3 days. And as long as it does that, it's most likely going in that same direction. So we could see 1100 and Nvidia.
Yeah. The part that, like I said, the part that threw me off is that Nvidia didn't lead us the rest of the market up.
Yeah.
And it's because it was sucking the life out of the whole market. Money was flowing out of every single stock except for Nvidia. And even at the end of the day, Nvidia softened up a little bit. But it you look at the charts that we had on Friday or on Thursday of Apple and Google and Tesla and Microsoft and really everything.
Well, it's like people are lightening their loads because they're waiting for that people always want the stock split so they can get in, even though it's the same exact thing.
I know.
Oh, I can get in to Nvidia now. It'll be affordable, right? Hello.
Yeah.
But it's like they're selling out of everything so that they have their cash on hand to get into Nvidia when it's split, right?
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
It is, but it's weird because like Microsoft reports good earnings, and generally that's bullish the market. Big companies like that, usually a great earnings is going to be bullish the market. But look at the turnaround. Did you see AMD yesterday? So AMD opened up $7 and then absolutely got destroyed.
Yeah.
Just a massive, ugly move.
Yeah, very bearish. Well, don't forget we also had Fed minutes.
We did. They didn't like those.
Right. And people that think they're going to, I don't know, the cutting of rates, I'm just shocked that they still think that, I don't know.
There's an incredible delusion in Wall Street somehow
Yes,
that
it feels like
on
it.
this rate cut thing. But the funny thing is they'll ride it and ride it and ride it. It's like, oh, there won't be cuts. And then they're like, oh, but they'll be in September now. Ooh, rally. Oh, those aren't happening either. Oh, they'll be in December. Rally. But I think the price action yesterday is not like, from a market perspective, to me looks kind of bearish. I know you were kind of saying maybe we'll see. Folks here listening in, hi everybody. What do you think? We're trading. The S&P closed 5267. All right. Do we see 5400 first, or do we see 50? We'll say 5100 first. Which one do you think is heading our way? I'd love to hear what your ideas are, but I just, something smells a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've had a really nice rally, and I could see a pullback. Maybe not a sell-off per se, but I could see some pullback for sure.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I have you look at bonds so often, because bonds are really the big boy. I think if interest rates weaken up, that's when we can get to. That's where things. If Nvidia isn't able to carry the market's water anymore, and rates drop, rates start to rally really hard, what does that mean for the market? Is that's my question.
Yeah, that means lower.
Andrew, let's welcome Andrew T. Giovinazzi. Andrew,
How are you guys?
Good morning, Andrew.
everybody, happy Friday. Everybody here is excited for your hot take on I want to talk about Nvidia directly and where that thing's going in a second. But what's your take on, is Nvidia a vampire, or was yesterday just some weird one-off?
I kind of like your vampire analogy. I thought that was kind of solid. I want to show you, like, Leisha, pull up McDonald's
Sure.
real fast. So, okay,
Oof.
yeah, right. So I'm
Ugly.
looking at the chain restaurants. I think right now it feels like consumer, right? White House inflation doesn't exist, but the average person's like, yeah, it does. And like company like McDonald's now, people are like, well, maybe we're not going to spend $8 for a Big Mac, right? I mean, a Big Mac always was fun because it was cheap. Now, now it
Yeah,
costs as much as
I remember they were 99 cents, and my dad took me to McDonald's, and he said, well, we're getting Big Macs. I said, I don't want a Big Mac. He looked at me and goes, you're eating a Big Mac.
They're 99 cents. You will
99 cents. You are eating a Big Mac.
So, and I think there's a lot of stocks. It felt like, these not very good looking charts with stocks making all-time highs still. Like I felt like, I think there's some inflation sensitive businesses, like people eating out, that are going to get hurt a little bit. Again, I don't know if that's a canary in a coal mine, but it's certainly not positive, right? You want to see those restaurants stocks do better. So I think that's one part. Another thing is we were down yesterday, almost 1%. And VIX, I think, what did we trade? The low of the day was 1180, and we couldn't even close above 13 on a 1% move. So, like, the VIX move was kind of underwhelming. So I think the thing with Nvidia being a vampire is the AI idea is still pretty solid. Like, the fact that AI is growing or whatever, and Nvidia can sell all these chips, and eventually somebody else will, but apparently nobody else can figure out how to make them.
How to make money, how to make chips.
With the insane profit margins that Nvidia has right now. So I think you kind of have those two narratives going. You like that inflation narrative, one. I don't think rates come down. I agree with you guys. You can't have rates come down when the government's doing, basically just going on a mad path. But companies innovate, and that's what ultimately drives the stock market. So I think you have kind of this, what is it? Like, you got kind of two different directions. So on basic, maybe we just kind of drift, I think, at this point. Like, it's weird to think that we could drift around 5,300, but I feel it's a little directionless just currently. Like Nvidia, it kind of feels like it was peak for the beginning of the summer here, when we need something to drive us higher. It wouldn't surprise me if we have a red day today overall.
We also have that underlying election year.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep. So, and don't we normally rally into the election? Because they still, if you want to pull up a chart of VIX, we still have, or the VIX curve, we still have that crazy bulge for volatility there. So the market is expecting some kind of election shenanigans there. It's hard to ignore that. It's the same bulge there was in 2020. I mean, all through COVID, no matter where the curve was, the only time it disappeared is when we went to 100, right? And everything was totally backward.
Yeah.
But it settled right back in very soon. And
it doesn't seem as pronounced as it was, Andrew. Am I wrong?
Pulled back some.
Yeah, it's pulled back. And I think that's because, again, polls, the polls are getting a little more clear, but, people will argue, but whatever. It's the more certain it looks like it becomes, the smaller that bulge will be one way or the other. So, but I think it will stay there to some degree until the election. But from a market point of view, you didn't get a lot of reaction out of VIX, Mark. What do you think about the VIX move? Pretty underwhelming, or do you think it was?
I mean, 1180 to a little over 13 and then pulling back. I don't know. The market's been fading with all the news out. Yeah, I wasn't overly impressed. I didn't think it was like I wouldn't have expected a move to like 17 unless we really, really sold off, right?
Right.
And we didn't. Speaking
but
of,
it didn't hold the day highs either. That's another.
It didn't. But the market didn't hold the day lows.
Right.
The market kept looking like it wanted to make that big break and then never did.
Right.
They were really able to hold it. I think if we
got
gotten that
off leash support,
if we gotten that extra leg lower, it hit leash support. If we'd gotten that one extra leg lower where the day turns from down, the low of the day was maybe down 50. If we'd gotten that move toward down 80 or 75, 80, that's where you would have gotten that outside VIX move. Speaking of outside moves, we got the tail, Nvidia's a vampire. All right. And now here's another classic book, A Tale of Three Stocks, in Walmart, Amazon, and Target. And these are three companies that share primarily very similar businesses. One earnings was Amazon. Good earnings, but stock really didn't do that much and has since kind of pulled back. One earnings was yippee-ki-yay, wow, Walmart. And then one earnings was, look at Walmart. That's a rare story of
Walmart compared to Amazon.
I know.
Quite surprising. I had no idea that Walmart outperformed to that degree.
Yeah, Walmart's been outperforming in this year, and has really back up. It's what portion of Amazon's business is AWS in terms of its valuation, what portion is the sales. But Walmart has really upped their game. A company that has not is Target, and you can see bad execution in one chart in Target. And the issue they've got is that their online business is by far the worst of the three. They don't have like a Target Plus. They haven't partnered with anybody. They don't have, anything to excite people about going online to Target. Now, they're nice. The stores inside are nicer than a Walmart. Amazon doesn't have stores. There are Amazon bookstores randomly that you'll see. There used to be one on Southport by my old condo. But for the most part, Amazon doesn't have a retail presence. What?
You think they still have those?
I don't know if they still do. I know there used to be one. Did they get rid of them?
I don't think there's one in Maine.
What, an Amazon retail store?
Yeah.
Maine doesn't have anything, Andrew.
It's got lobsters, it's got clams. It has it has Andrew's woodworking shop. How dare you?
It's got some stuff.
Sorry, Andrew.
City Slicker Alicia.
Look at Alicia.
Hi, Paul Jones. Thank you. I just had to say hi to Paul.
But Target just looks abysmal, and I think they're not going to be around in 10 years.
Wow.
Or they're going to be like a Macy's, the zombie that is, Macy's.
The husk.
Yeah. Well, are any retailers going to be around? Is retail shopping?
No, you know what? Yeah, I do, because because retail shopping is not just, it's an experience, right? So like,
yes, I still enjoy it.
Yeah, my 14-year-old goes to the mall with his friends. That if malls disappear, an entire generation of teenagers will have nowhere to go with their friends.
Right.
How about you guys? Anybody? People still like going to the mall?
Main has Andrew.
I haven't been to a mall in 4 years, I think.
Yeah, Costco's doing great. There's another retailer.
Yeah, I mean, parking lots here actually in Maine, in the little malls and stuff, are pretty. There are people shopping for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, it's summertime and all the summer people are here.
There are
but
people
anyway.
shopping and teenagers hanging out.
Yeah.
Speaking of Costco, we went to Costco. Grant moved into his first apartment on Monday, and we had to go to Costco and get that mini fridge and all that. But huge line to get into Costco before it opened.
Oh, really?
Huge line of people waiting in line to get in.
What were they waiting? What? Why?
I don't know. It was in Fort Worth. Beautiful Costco.
Did they need
they're all
something?
the same, but really nice, well kept Costco. There was a huge line to go in before it opened.
Did you get a $1.50 hot dog?
Oh gosh, no. I don't like hot dogs.
All right, now
Chicken
the
bake is
last
good
thing I
though.
want to jump into. So, like I said, I think the Target is executing terribly, and you saw it in the results. And if I was long Target, I would be getting the heck out of Dodge. I think the long-term outlook here is bad. That's my take. All right, Leisha, what are you seeing in the chart here on Target?
I can't even. You see me trying to formulate a pitchfork. It's not easy. I have to look more closely, but I'm thinking these lows right here.
Yeah.
136, 82, and then below there be down here 125, 126.
Yeah. This one smells of Walgreens and CVS.
Dead stocks.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are not dead, the SEC approved Ether for a Bitcoin ETF.
Yes,
and Leisha's been excited to look at this one for a while. If you look at what Bitcoin did into its ETF, rally, they list and it sells. What are you seeing here in Ether?
Well, I'm seeing a nice bull flag, although this candle here with the long upper and lower shadows is called a high wave candle, and that signals mass confusion. So Wednesday's candle was massively confused. Actually, it was yesterday's mass confusion. But overall, this could be bull flagging off this nice bullish candle. Down here is your support, 35.36, 4,100, 40.90, 42.80. I'd say bullish.
All right. Yeah. So Ether looks bullish. Now, Ether didn't get the same crazy run up into the ETF launch that Bitcoin did. So they're two different animals. But I would not be surprised to see a short Bitcoin, long Ether trade develop until we see those ETFs jump in, which could be interesting. Leisha, you were mentioning that you have for stocks that you like and that you're having some trouble finding stocks that you like. Did you find a stock you liked?
I came up with one. I think Ford. Ford is sitting at a really nice support level. Look how many times it bounced off the support level. Got a cute little hammer, doji. I'm thinking Ford may hold here. Back to 1266 and then 1305. Seriously, I had a hard time finding any bullish chart.
Yeah. I'm really, for me, I really like the midstreamers here. They've been really strong, and they continue to see some pretty nice rallies. So I'm liking Energy Transfer, ETRN, AM, all of these retailers, they continue to see lots of bullish flow. And they'll get these sell-offs, but then they'll just start their trend right back up. Energy Transfer was what, like $11 last year, and now it's over 15. ETRN was 8, now it's 13.
Yeah, looks like they'd only have a little pullback off the whole market moving lower.
Yeah, you guys didn't cover USO, right, or oil. It looks like it's kind of softening up here. I guess we just are going to release 1 million barrels of oil. I'm sure that's going to make a big deal in the price of oil here over the summer.
Yeah. We're heading out on a road trip ourselves. So yeah, look at crude. You're right, Andrew. Looking at all this consolidation finally broke away down to the downside. Like 73.60 is support in crude.
Yeah, I feel like there will be an opportunity to scoop oil stocks again. It just doesn't feel.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and remember, and this is not a political statement. Let me be very clear. The last time, everybody thinks that oil generally kind of moves the opposite of what we would think. Democrats getting in who are more green energy typically is bullish oil. Look what happened until we opened up the SPR. Look at what happened to oil. And then look at what happened to oil when Donald Trump was president. It hit multi-year lows.
Yep.
And the reason is that opening up drilling causes a increase in supply. There's a concept of supply and demand that is very important.
Again, this could be all more electioneering, prognostication from the markets.
I mean, who knows? But
just saying.
Yeah.
Market knows.
Exactly. Do you know what else the market knows? The market knows that whether oil goes up or goes down, there's a ride that you can take where the fuel is free and produces white hot flames. And that is the vehicle that consumes that white hot flame is Andrew's trading vehicle. Folks, this is where Andrew gives us a ride down a trading strategy or a trading approach or trade decision making, and gives us a little trading life lesson. Folks, I actually have to bow out for the rest of the show. Leisha and Andrew are going to take over. I hope you have a wonderful Friday. Take it away, Andrew, and everybody have a great weekend.
Thank you very much, everybody. So trading vehicle today is, when do you want to, let's say, buy calls instead of stock? And sometimes, I trying to add a little alpha, to my retirement account. Like, okay, do I buy 100 shares? Do I do a buy right? Or do I buy like 4 or 5 calls in a stock that I think could go higher? And Ruben, if you're here, if you want to show that slide. So here's a stock. So I am a believer in the AI thing, right? So, but it's also going to spread to different industries, and I do, I have a show with Frank Gregory, who's kind of inside defense contractor guy, called Capital Gains that we do every Tuesday in Option Pit. And this is a name he introduced me to. KTOS. They're a drone company. A lot of their stuff is being tested in real time now between Israel, I guess, and Ukraine, stuff like that. So I think, again, AI will move more toward changed battlefields or whatever in the future. So I'm look for kind of where the AI goes. Anyway, So what you notice in this chart, so this is a 2-year chart. How about 1-year chart of KTOS? So I have a little position in here, and you can do bet, you can get it better now. It's because the stock drifted lower a little bit. But what I want you to see is how low. So that chart on the bottom is option volatility on 60 and 90 days. The green chart is the 90-day vol, and the yellow chart is the 60-day vol. So one thing that happens, when VIX makes a low, like it has, I mean, it made a year low yesterday morning, and it's still, I would call, on the very low end of the scale. A lot of volatility in a lot of named stocks go down with it. There's a reason that VIX is that low, because volatility everywhere is lower. So, the fact that volatility in, Kratos Defense and Aerospace, or whatever, KTOS, is low is not in and of itself too surprising, because volatility across the board is lower. What it does, though, is, and I was talking about this last week, the lower the volatility goes, the longer duration I like to buy. And the reason is because the theta dollars are so low in a long-term contract, and most of your risk is in Vega. So let me explain that for a second. So, Greeks, like the big 4 Greeks are Delta, Gamma, Theta, Vega. And Delta is your direction. So I'm already assuming the directional risk. So when I assume the directional risk, I just allocate a certain amount to the name, right? Because you want to be in it, right? And that's the ultimately, if I'm doing calls versus stock, I just don't get crazy, right? I'll just buy a 5 lot of calls instead of 100 shares of stock, right? And if it works out great, okay, I got a huge winner. If not, okay, no harm, no foul. It's a relatively small amount of the portfolio. So the delta part, I've kind of taken care of by allocation for size, right? The second part would be Vega. So Vega is the risk that the volatility in your option drops while you own it. So when you're buying volatility at a 2-year low, a 3-year low, you have potential Vega risk for sure, meaning the market volatility keeps going down and the volatility of your option keeps going down. But it's a very small amount of the premium in the option. And then the last, I think, real risk, right, if you buy calls, is theta, meaning if I don't get the move soon enough, the decay is going to eat my option away. So most of the problem with what happens is folks buy too short of duration and don't get enough performance to pay for decay. And that is, a 1-week option, a 2-week option. If you buy a 3-month option or a 6-month option or a leap when vol is really low, you're taking a lot of the risk out of the option and giving yourself a chance to make real money on a rally. So you're still long. Okay. You still have the risk of delta being long, but you're already controlling that risk with the size you take. And if people want to go all in on something, you go all in and you get what you get. It's either great or it totally sucks. I mean, there's not a whole lot in between. So I don't like getting too excited about any one stock, especially when you're buying options, because, your position ends up becoming your opinion even when you're wrong. So you have to have a little self-control trading options. But the idea here is with KTOS is volatility is relatively low. So I like the contract wise, I'm long some August calls. I don't think the November calls are bad. Volatility is very low at the money. And just to give you an example, like the decay on the August 22 call in KTOS right now, the theta dollars are a penny a day. So that's about $5 a week. So you don't need a whole lot of a move. you know, you can eventually calendarize it if you get a rally, something like that. But it's very, very low decay for the option. And then door number 2, always on a long delta for me, is the stock does go down and stops going down. I do think about writing a put against it to take delivery. That's why I always try to buy a controllable amount of options, not an insane amount of options, because I still want the chance to buy the stock at a lower price. Again, this is for a long equity portfolio. You want to be long. You want to have some you want to create a little alpha in your portfolio. So anyway, this is an interesting stock. I think it will benefit from AI. It has been higher in the past, as high as 30 something. So anyway, so this is what I thought here. Near the money calls in the August, November time cycle, because the volatility is very low. And that's it. So at this point, I'd rather buy some calls versus stock. Put a tiny, small amount of money, again, market at the top. And when you buy some calls instead of stock, you're saving a lot of capital for something else. So even though your initial trade might not work out, you have freed up some of those dollars you might have spent to go do something else with them. And that is my trading vehicle for today. Greeks,
Love it, Andrew.
vehicle,
Love it.
drones. Look at all the stuff you get here.
Good story behind the stock.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool one, I have to say. So, but like you say, Nvidia is, like Mark was right. Nvidia is a vampire. It's taking all the, oxygen out. One thing we didn't cover, and I think we're going to cover on our Monday show, Leisha, is what's going to happen after the split for Nvidia. So when the stock splits 10 for 1, if you own those options and you still own them like post split, you're going to get, basically, you have the 10 for 1. So your option price goes down by, what is it, 90% or something like that huge,
Right.
but you get 10 times the option. So the gamma of your trade basically, though, goes up 10 squared, which is 100 times. So I'm just saying, like, you have essentially 100 times the gamma on your position that you had pre-split. So it's an interesting, it could be an interesting way to sort of juice something. So we'll take a look at that. By the way, our ticker show is on Tuesday morning at 10:30. Just FYI for everybody. So what do you have now to kind of like recap? Is the market, how are we doing?
Well,
I haven't even
like I
looked at the
said,
futures or anything yet. I've just been yakking on KTOS, but
that's okay. I was just saying, oops, wrong one. I'm getting a mixed signal here. Watch ES. If it fails or busts through 53.05, it just traded right around there. Well, this is a little delayed, but like I was saying, if stock zooms through the support, comes back and revisits it, kisses it, that's your opportunity to possibly go short. So 53.05 on ES. But I also have SPX and the Qs sitting yesterday's lows as support on both of these. So kind of mixed signals. You need to watch it very closely.
And it's also
and
a
what
holiday
it does
weekend.
is it hits these places.
Holiday weekend, when you're a floor trader, you were like, you're going to Lake Geneva by now.
We were, yes.
On Friday. So,
yeah,
I was going around
thinking,
to hang out with the Italians on Memorial Day. So
I'm thinking we could be down a tad.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of action going on. It could be a slightly again, a weaker, less liquid market is generally not great for stock prices.
Yeah.
Oh, we got one last question. Leisha, does KTOS have a shooting star reversal?
It's possible.
So just explain that real fast to everybody before we go.
Sure. Very nice, quick rally from the very bottom of the pitchfork Didn't quite make it to the top. We have someone coming in here. Didn't quite make it to the top of the pitchfork. I have support coming in today at 2042.
Okay.
This will be a little resistance, 21.5. But this could be bull flagging. This could be bull flagging, but yes, possible shooting star. Today's action will give you a little more information.
There we go. All right. I guess our show is over.
Yeah, I'll let you do the wrap up. Well, thank you everyone for joining us.
Yeah, this is Andrew Giovinazzi from Option Pit CEO, Alicia, our queen of the candles, prima of the pitchforks. And for Mark, your only option. This is Andrew, your other option. Wishing you an excellent 3-day weekend. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Take care. Thank you.
All opinions expressed by Tradier Hub contributors are solely the contributors' opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Tradier nor its affiliates and or subsidiaries. You should not treat any opinion expressed by Hub contributors as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or to follow a particular strategy, but only as an expression of their opinion. The contributors' opinions are based on their own personal research, but neither Tradier nor its affiliates and or subsidiaries warrants its completeness or accuracy, and it should not be relied upon as such. Any trades or positions discussed or referred to by contributors may or may not be actual live trades or positions. Such information is not intended to be financial or investment advice. Tradier Inc. is the parent company of Tradier Brokerage Inc. Tradier Brokerage Inc. and Tradier Inc. are separate entities with their own products and services. Securities products and services are offered through Tradier Brokerage Inc. Tradier Brokerage Inc. is an independent subsidiary of Tradier Inc. All rights reserved. Member FINRA SIPC.